And welcome, everybody. We'll be starting, as you can see, in about 2 minutes.
Now, Stuart, are you going to get the ball rolling and share where you're from?
Yeah, thank you. That's a good reminder.
Ooh, boy. Yeah, dog, India, nice. So from South Africa. Turkey, my goodness, so many interesting places around the world. And there you are, San Francisco Bay Area,
Yep, Fayetteville, North Carolina.
Jamaica.
So we have a person who is from Djibouti but is joining us today from Turkey. Welcome.
Interesting.
Philippines. It's very late night for you. So we're really glad that everybody can join us from all of the different corners of the world. See people from North and South America, from Asia, Africa, Europe. That's really great. So far, we've never had anyone from Antarctica, but I'm hoping that one of the scientists, the research base down there, will take a continuing ed course from Simplilearn.
That would be interesting. That'd be a first time.
Of course, the fascinating stories about people in Antarctica having to do things for themselves, or things like when people get appendicitis and have to take out their own appendix. But
Oh, yikes.
that's
I don't think we have a seminar on that, though.
no, we don't have a webinar on that. But St. Lucia from the Caribbean and China, welcome. Bahamas and not in the Caribbean.
Hmm?
Not exactly. Well, I guess Bahamas is in the Caribbean, but Bermuda is not. So
Right.
excuse my confusion there. Argentina. This is great. So reached the end of the timer. I'm going to start our presentation now. I want to welcome everybody in. My name is Stuart Creek. I am with Simplilearn. Just a moment as I fumble with our presentation system here. And as you can see, I'm here with Brian Campbell. Brian Campbell is one of our senior instructors, as well as an entrepreneur. And we'll hear from him in just a moment. First, I wanted to set a couple of basic ground rules for our presentation. Please put your questions for us in the Q&A, and we will be able to get to those toward the end of the session. We'll be, of course, looking at the chat, but if you have specific questions for Brian or me about business analysis or about the program, please put that into the Q&A and we'll keep track of it there. We're going to be talking about the postgraduate program in business analysis from Purdue University. So we'll start by talking about business analysis as a field and as a career field especially. Then what this program from Purdue offers you, how it gets you job ready. We'll go through the enrollment steps. I'll mention a bonus offer that's part of the thank you for being here at the webinar, and we'll go into that Q&A. So if we're ready, we can start with a poll question, just asking the audience, what is your basic current level of experience? Are you still studying for a degree? Or are you in the workforce? Leave this open just for another 5 seconds. 4, 3, 2, 1, and hit that submit button. And here we go. So about 40% of you are still studying, and the rest of you are in the workforce, and a substantial number of you are more than 5 years of experience. So we'll be talking about how this program can help people at each of these levels do that. Um, First, a little bit about Simplilearn. Simplilearn is the #1 online boot camp. We specialize in digital skills for the digital economy, and we've helped 5 million professionals so far around the world in 150 countries, and many of those are represented here today, um, to upskill, prepare for the digital transformation that's sweeping the world, and become proficient in different skills: business analysis, data science, artificial intelligence, machine learning, cloud computing, project management, program management. So we're very proud of our associations with different institutions like Purdue, and we're proud of our association with people like Brian. Brian, if you would like to tell folks about yourself.
Sure. Yes, happy to be here. Welcome, everyone. So my name is Brian Campbell, and I have been working in project program management for over 25 years. I am an independent consultant with my own consulting organization. So a lot of my clients are in different industries and kind of run the range. You see a lot like BP, ExxonMobil, Phillips 66. And if you're a little familiar with those organizations, you might recognize they're all in the oil and gas industry. And I actually live in Houston, Texas, which is where a lot of oil and gas companies are based. So fair amount of exposure there, but more recently doing a lot of work with healthcare organizations. It's an important sort of growth sector here, not just in the United States, but around the world. And as you can probably imagine, in all the capacities, managing programs, projects, etc., requirements management becomes really important. How do we understand the scope and what it is that we're expected to deliver? So I've got a lot of deep background in that domain as well. And you can see I've been working with Stuart and the team at Simplilearn for a number of years here, not just developing courses and helping with these kind of seminars, but also flying around the world and delivering classes, certification classes for learners just like yourself. So happy to be here. Stuart, thanks for the opportunity, and turn it back to you.
Thank you so much. And we're going to talk about careers in business analysis, and kind of to set the stage, we say business analysis is more essential than ever because we've all collectively worldwide been through a very strange period where much of our lives have transferred into the digital domain, even areas where we thought it never would. You go into a restaurant and find a QR code instead of a menu, for example. So how has that changed the needs of business over the last several years, Brian?
Right. One of the things you're just highlighting is this rather rapid shift to digital transformation. And really what that's speaking to is that organizations are aware that when you're working in sort of a digital domain, zeros and ones, it's a lot easier to make changes and adjustments. So there's a keen interest in organizations in every size and in every domain around the world to, as much as possible, transform into sort of these digital delivery focused organizations. So what does that look like? Well, that means using software to help process orders and manage supply chains. And then the data that comes from that gives you better optics into where you can improve and drive efficiencies. So there's so much value in this space. And we've got industry leaders like Amazon and Google and Microsoft and Facebook and all these companies that we typically associate with sort of this digital domain. And they're quickly being followed, as I mentioned, by healthcare organizations that are saying, at the end of the day, healthcare needs require data information. So the more we can make that process collecting information easier, seamless, we can gather more insights. And this is again where business analysis becomes so critical, because we are going to need people who have the skills to really understand how to interpret that information and help organizations make good decisions about where they want to direct their energies and efforts.
Yeah, and it's as the slide says, a sea of data where businesses, organizations, and even individuals are being inundated with data from so many different directions. And the Internet of Things has created a stream of real-time data coming in from uh, multitudes of devices and multitudes of sensors. And all of that doesn't really have value until you can find the meaning behind it. So this is the reason why this area is in such a high demand.
Mhm.
But in order to serve as a business analyst, you have to have a range of skills that the graphic is talking about in terms of being a well-rounded practitioner, right?
Right. Yeah, that's so true. I mean, business analysis draws upon so many um, interesting domains. So, of course, the classic, just the business requirements analysis, trying to understand what it is your customer wants and needs, and documenting that in a way that teams can leverage and build solutions. But to help with that, we're going to need data and statistical analysis. Just as you said, there's a sea of data out there. Well, to interpret that, we're going to have the need to kind of gather the data, analyze it, use some analytical tools to help us with that. And this all fits into things like strategy analysis. What direction is the market, the industry going? How do we want to monitor changes and adapt and adjust based on feedback we're receiving? What solutions are available? And we need help with experts who can evaluate different solutions and find the ones that are the best fit. Um, Dashboarding, data visualization, how do we present information back to decision makers so they can make effective decisions? And then techniques like Agile and Scrum, you've probably heard a bit about. These are ways in which we can organize teams to deliver value early. And that's all part of that transformation, that digital transformation. So what's really fascinating about this particular career space is that it draws upon some of these other interesting topic areas. So I find it's kind of a rich, fulfilling space to learn and grow in. So I think it's a great area to kind of focus your career.
Yeah, and another aspect of it is that even if you're in a different career, for example, in general management and that type of thing, having these skills as part of your tool set in addition to your other skills can make you more effective in that job. So it's not just for people who are planning to do a career
Mhm.
focused on business analysis. It can be a tool, a catalyst for career progress in other areas as well.
Right. Yeah. Good point.
So as we talked about, the demand is soaring. I mean, example companies hiring. If you take a look at any job listing board, Indeed or Glassdoor or Dice or any of the other different job listings in your particular country or location, you will see a number of companies looking to hire business analysts for the reasons we just described. And the projection from different organizations is that there's going to be a 25% growth in the number of people employed in this field over to the end of the next decade, or this decade rather. And the right now there's 14.2 million people who are business analysts as self-described on LinkedIn, which means that 25% growth of that is going to take you to something on the order of 17 or 18 million people. That's another 3 to 4 million jobs. So it's an area where companies need a lot of help, and the demand gap between supply of people capable of doing the work and the number of people that the companies need is just
Mhm.
big and growing. Is that been your
Yeah.
observation as well?
Yeah, absolutely. The organizations, and you see these marquee names here, all of these are recognized around the globe, and they're all actively seeking out people with these skills, making investments in people with an interest in this space. In fact, just to kind of give you a real world example, I have a 23-year-old son who is graduating college soon, and he was asking me, "Gee, Dad, what are good fields to consider?" And I said, "Well, business analysis. This is
Yeah.
a great place to get started and to continue to grow." So, yeah, I think you're absolutely right. There's nothing but positive outlooks for this career space going forward.
And the salaries reflect that. We have, for Simplilearn, has big operations both in India and USA, as well as Singapore, partnerships in Africa, Middle East, Gulf countries, and around the world. And we're developing our business in South America as well. So, as I said, we've helped people in 150 countries around the world. Um, I'm picking out India and USA because these are places where we typically get a lot of our potential learners from. So you can see that business analysts can make a good living. Um,
Mhm.
these are the kinds of things that, if you're focused on business analysis as a career, and the job title business analyst, which is the kind of the generic job title, these are the salary ranges you can find. But as you gain more experience, gain more skills, there's other career paths you can take within the field, right?
Absolutely, yeah, and that's I think what makes this again a really compelling area is there's lots of paths you can explore, and some of you on this session might be a bit more interested in sort of deeper analytics. You kind of enjoy looking at data, looking at patterns, trends, etc., and that's a really rich and interesting field in and of itself. Others are going to be a bit more interested in how do I present compelling information so decision makers can use that to make effective decisions. So there's that space. Some are going to be more interested in the communication element, working with stakeholders, even focus groups, and trying to understand, what the market is trying to do. So lots of different room for different interest areas that will apply to your skill set. So I think there's this is a good space for lots of different ways in which you can learn and grow.
Yep. Oop. So at this point, I'm going to ask another poll question from our audience, and let me bring that up before you answer. You're all interested. You're here because you're interested in business analysis as a career area, as a skill set. We presume that you've looked at other programs, but what has stopped you from enrolling in some other certification or training program? What has been lacking that you want to have, you haven't found yet? And I'm going to leave this open just for about another 10 seconds. You can pick more than one answer, of course. And if you'll hit the submit button, I'll close the poll in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Poll. So the biggest concerns in order, feeling that you might not get the practical exposure. You want to have a program that you can point to practical examples of the skills you've learned and demonstrate those to a potential future employer or to your current employer to support a job salary increase, promotion. Um, then finding a program with a comprehensive curriculum that gives you all the skills that Brian described, and then finally finding one that meets your needs as a working professional, fits into your schedule. Um, so can all agree, I think, based on that, that the ideal program is one that has an industry aligned learning path. Excuse me, means that you're going to learn the skills that industry demands and a full set of those skills so that if you go out into the job market, you'll be able to match as many possible requirements in that job description. Um, Integrated labs and hands-on projects so that you do the work, so that you create artifacts that you can then show off in your portfolio and say, I've used, uh, for example, Tableau. Here's how I've used it to create dashboards and interactive visualizations. And you can show those actual examples to people, um, not being isolated in just watching videos, being able to go through with the instructors. And that those 2 points, Brian, they combine, right? The idea of being able to do the hands-on projects, but having someone who's there with you who can help you um, understand the material as you're going through and not get stuck, right?
Right. Yeah, that's actually a really powerful part of this program is that you are being supported, coached, mentored along the way. You've got educators like myself who are going to be available, and of course, it's not just we can provide you sort of the theory and the concepts, but also the real world practical application. And I think for a lot of the folks that were answering that survey, it feels like that's something that they're actively looking for. They want someone to kind of give them that practical, real world view of, how do I present this information? How do I help move an initiative forward using some of these business analysis skill sets? So that's what your instructors will be there to help you with every step of the way.
And the this course involves that live interaction, which of course has to be scheduled. There will be fixed class times for some of that, but the rest of the process, the preparatory work that you do before class sessions, the independent projects and labs you do after the class sessions, all of that's available to you 24/7 on a digital platform. This is delivered entirely online so that you can access this program anywhere that you have your laptop or desktop and an internet connection. And you can even watch a lot of the materials on your mobile device or tablet, right?
Right. Yeah. Yeah. I think that's another really compelling reason to consider this because many of you, it feels like, already have pretty active lives, probably managing work and family and friends and activities. So finding a way in which you can learn that fits into that lifestyle is so important. And of course, we all have our tablets and our cell phones and our laptops. So being able to connect in at any point, pick up the learning that maybe you'd left off, just that flexibility in terms of the time and day in which you're connecting with your learning schedule. All that really makes this a great fit for anyone that's trying to grow and develop their skills and their career while they're also working and managing their life.
Yep. And so, as I mentioned before, this is a professional certificate program in business analysis from Purdue University. The relationship between Purdue and Simplilearn is that Purdue had designed and developed this curriculum. They oversee it. They put their name on your certificate. We deliver the course on our platform to their standards. So this is a Purdue program delivered by Simplilearn. It's accredited by the International Institute of Business Analysis, which is the professional body that oversees business analysis, business analytics. Um, it's a 6-month program. Um, Brian, can somebody really pick up the full set of skills we've described in 6 months?
Yeah, that's a great question, and I think what makes again this is a really powerful program. You can see the partnership between Purdue, which has been doing this for a long time, Simplilearn, which is leading sort of the digital skills online learning space, and their partnership, which it means that basically, yeah, 6 months. There's a lot that we're going to learn. This is structured in a way, though, that you're going to establish a foundation. You're going to progressively build on that. You're going to apply these techniques, these skills, these tools to real world problems. And by the end of the 6 months, you will have developed these skills and also the practical application of them to some real world problems. So, and it's intense, as you're pointing out, hey, 5 to 10 hours a week. But, if you're interested in making this a commitment, this is something that you see as an opportunity to develop your skills and grow your career. Think about it, in 6 short months, you're going to be in a place that you can really start getting the benefits of that.
Yep. Thank you. There's some questions in the chat. I just want to let folks know that we'll be talking about the Job Assist program, the Career Assist program. You can see at the lower right of the slide. We'll be talking about that in a few minutes. We'll be talking about how to enroll in the complete program. What you get once you've completed that 6 months, you get your certificate from Purdue University that certifies that you've completed to their satisfaction all of the core courses. There are a number of different electives that are included in the program that you can take. You'll have done a number of projects in integrated labs, so you'll have real experience in your portfolio that you can demonstrate off to anybody who's evaluating you for a new job or a promotion. You'll have done a capstone project that ties all of your new skills together. And master classes are important, Brian.
Yeah, exactly. And in master classes, you can see right there, these are classes that are going to be conducted by Purdue and industry experts. So you're going to be hearing from some of the thought leaders in some of these domains and areas. So they are, truly master classes. And honestly, they're the sort of such an important feature of this program because it gives you access to some of the leading thinking in these areas. I saw someone asked, I think, a really good question. Hey, does this course talk about some of the recent trends in artificial intelligence and machine learning and chat GPT, all those things we're hearing a lot about? The short answer is absolutely. You're going to hear experts talking about that in sessions like these master classes.
Yep. And as I've just pointed out, the Career Assist program, which I'll talk about in more detail, but that's a set of services that are available to you that extend for 6 months after you earn your certificate to help you in your job search and prepare you for interviews, tune up your resume, and all those types of things. So Purdue University is a prestigious institution, well respected within the United States, but also well respected around the world. It is one of the oldest and one of the consistently top ranked public universities in the United States, run by the state of Indiana. And its faculty and alumni are distinguished, have won Nobel Prizes, Pulitzer Prizes, and other pretty amazing awards for work that they've done there, or for their careers after having studied there. So the Purdue University name on your resume is something that people will recognize and will respect. We're very proud that we provide not only this program with Purdue, but a number of other programs as well. Our partnership with them is long duration and pretty deep partnership at this point. So, Brian, this is a program that requires people to come in with a bachelor's degree and some experience.
Mm.
Can you comment on what you've seen in the cohorts about the value of having that work experience? And
Sure.
I'll have a follow-up question after that.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. So to your point, I mean, this is really targeted to those that have, completed a bachelor, they've got some initial work experience, they're really getting a sense of where they want to take their career. And it's not just understanding what path you want to follow, but it's also you need some of that practical real world experience working in organizations, getting some flavor for what the work world is like to get the most from this particular program. And when you've got that background, you actually enrich the conversations with those others that are in it. So that's another part of this. We want our learners to get exposed to one another, build their network, learn, share. And what I find fascinating about this, anytime we're bringing a new cohort, you bring in folks from around the world, but also from different size organizations, different industries. And it's just fascinating listening to their experiences and just as they engage and collaborate in some of the projects that we have, they just bring so much rich information in that you learn from your peers, and I think that's a really powerful part of this program.
Okay. And the follow-up question is somebody without programming knowledge really able to succeed in the courses?
Yeah, so no programming background required. In fact, I think increasingly we're discovering that most of the heavy lifting programming is now being offloaded to some of these new AI tools we're hearing more about. But what becomes very important is actually more of the ability to interpret and analyze data, to know how to present that meaningfully and effectively. Now, that doesn't mean that if you've got a background in programming, etc., that's wonderful. That's going to help, no doubt about it. But there's not a requirement that you already bring in several years of coding background and experience.
Yeah. And this being business analysis, it's more focused on using tools to understand and extract insights from and present results from data rather than uh, writing applications or that type of thing.
Right.
Um, so the program is constructed in a way that builds up your skills over step-by-step process. And if you could kind of take us through why these steps are in this kind of sequence, that would be
Absolutely.
helpful.
Yeah, absolutely. Let's dig into that a little bit. So one thing to kind of highlight, one is this uses sort of a cohort model. Basically, what it means is you're going to be joining at the same time as a group of peers who are interested in developing their skills, getting the same certification and recognition. So that's the induction. We're going to bring everyone in together. We're going to help ensure that everyone's sort of got a good level set on what to expect. And then quickly, we're going to give you the foundation necessary to really grow your career in this space. That's a certified business analysis professional designation. And that means we're going to go quite broad and deep in all the areas of business analysis. So you're going to be well prepped to both understand what does this business analysis field really mean, and also what are the tools, the techniques that'll help you be effective. Quickly, we want to start complementing that with some tooling. One of the most powerful tools that you will find in the business analysis domain is Excel. So we're going to help you get very comfortable with Excel. You might already have a good background in Excel. Great. I am confident we're going to also expand your knowledge through this course, because we use a lot of the features within Excel, a lot of the new add-ons that are available to really kind of amplify your business analytics expertise. And then you'll notice Tableau training. Now we're going to shift into some broader analytical tools like Tableau, which really helps us pull large data sets together, analyze and interpret that data, but most importantly, present it out so people can make good decisions. And we tie it all together with that business analysis capstone project that you mentioned, Stuart. And this is a great opportunity to kind of showcase how you've not just learned these skills that you see in the program, but you've applied them to a very contemporary, very compelling real world problem that your instructors are going to be partnering with you on, so you can build out a really good example that you can show with other employers or even in your existing organization.
Yeah. And then the electives are, as I mentioned, included in the cost of the program. You can take as many or as few as you
Mhm.
want based on your interest, based on your time availability, but they allow you not only the master classes that Brian and I described, but going deeper into other topics. So for those of you who have more experience and want to go into more advanced topics, you can go into um, data science with R. You can look at the general area of digital transformation for business leaders. Um, then agile scrum techniques for managing the process,
Hmm.
other tools like Power BI and SQL. So all of these are um, very valuable. Uh, add flavor and depth to your experience, but again, they're not required in order for you to earn your certificate. They're available to you. So we talk about various tools that you're going to use, and Brian will take us into the learning management system shortly, but Excel, Jira, Tableau, Power BI are these various tools, platforms, frameworks are things that you will not only hear about and read about in this program, but you'll actually use on fashion. Is that right, Brian?
Yeah, exactly right. So these are really important tools to have in your toolkit. You'll get direct hands-on exposure to all of them, as well as frameworks that you highlighted. So how do we use different practices and techniques to gather business analysis information, to interpret that, to present it back. So, and that's important to emphasize. It's the hands-on application, I think, that becomes really telling here. We want learners to leave with, confidence that they can go into a new work setting, a new job, new organization, and quickly get up to speed and apply their skills using tools that these companies have invested in. So yeah, this is exactly right. These are all good examples of the types of tools that you'll be learning a lot more about in the program.
Yep. And the capstone project, as we've mentioned a few times, ties all these skills, these tools, all the experience you have from the program into one final project. This is a fairly comprehensive and rigorous project, right, Brian? It takes several weeks. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly right. It is rigorous, and it's you really pulling together all the skills that you've been developing over the course of the program. What I find interesting, I think we're going to look at a few examples of this, but it really does pull on real world, cutting edge examples of problem domains where business analysis skills can be applied. And to your point, it is rigorous. Okay, so this is going to take some time for you to develop, work on, but you will be partnered with your instructor who will help you along the way. Of course, you also have access to all the learning material. We'll have forums that you can use to maybe work with your peers, your colleagues in the cohort. But at the end of this, the intent is to give you something you can really add to your portfolio. You can bring with you when you're maybe getting interviewed and someone says, show me an example of your work. You can quickly bring this out and demonstrate that you've got the practical skills for this kind of domain.
Thank you. And as you said, there's several examples here, the many different case studies and projects you're going to do, but you'll do some of these are case studies and projects that you do as part of each course, and you do a course ending project or case study to the modules. Then there's also, for example, Pearson or the Unilever examples are the types of problems that you would solve as part of your capstone project. Given uh, especially the canteen ordering system, you'd have to look at how to design and build the analytic system that supports this food ordering, but also decreases the lag times and the friction within that system so that you create an optimal experience for the employees. So this is a chance to take a real world based problem, come up with your solution for it, and that's evaluated. That, Brian, if you could talk a little bit about how this ecosystem works, and start with the program manager who's responsible for the relationship between us and Purdue. But then what are the other elements of this?
Yeah, right. So really to be successful as a learner in this space, you're going to need the support of a number of different roles that we see here. So as you pointed out, we've got a program manager. What's this person doing? This is the person partnering with Purdue and recognizing here's the trends, the directions. Let's make sure we're offering an educational solution that fits the market demand and its direction. We have a cohort manager. So as you come in and you're kind of part of this group of learners coming in together, the cohort manager is going to help ensure that you're all supported. You're finding ways in which you can connect and share throughout your learning experience. Of course, we've got the curriculum, and the curriculum has a wide range of resources, everything from the PowerPoints that you'll be using to kind of learn concepts, reading materials, practice tests and exams, of course, case studies, etc. You'll be part of a learning team. And this is important because it's not only going to help you strengthen your learning, but it's going to give you a network you can draw upon. And I've heard from learners that, I was supporting, years ago, and they're still in touch with many of the other learners that they started the program with, and they're all kind of progressing their careers, staying in touch. So that's a great part of expanding your network. And of course, the instructors. The end of the day, instructors are really an important part of your experience and what you learn. So Simplilearn and Purdue have both made bringing in highly skilled experts in their fields who are also good at teaching and working with learners top priorities. So they've got some of the best that I think are available in the industry right now. So altogether, that, as you pointed out, this is part of that broader ecosystem that supports that learning experience.
The interesting aspect is that with the cohort manager who's going to shepherd you and your cohort mates through, with the instructors who are meeting with you on a weekly basis to help you get through each course, um, you also have the ability to draw on the people in your cohort and the curriculum and resources. All of this forms a kind of a cocoon around you of support. So you have the ability to, you have a system around you that's helping you move towards successful completions. That's the way we've designed that. A lot of things coming in the chat. If you have questions that you want answered in the Q&A, please put those in the Q&A, but we will be, of course, dealing with some of the chat questions shortly. This is where I'd like Brian to go ahead and show us the learning environment itself.
Yeah, let's do that. All right, just bear with me, folks. Make sure I've got the right screen here. All right, can you see my screen, Stuart?
Yes, I do.
Wonderful. So a couple things bring your attention. First off, I've kind of jumped right into this. I've logged into the Simplilearn LMS, the Learning Management System. I think this is probably one of the best features of the program itself, is really how you interface with your learning material. So Simplilearn has been developing this now for, I think, close to 10 years. It's an award-winning learning management platform. It's very easy to use. It extends across many types of different devices, your laptops, your mobile phones, your PCs, your tablets, etc. So I'm just using this as a prototype. Of course, I'm an instructor, so I'm usually the one going in and delivering these sessions. Your viewpoint from a participant is going to look like this. Now, I'm picking one here. This is a business analyst boot camp, but it really gives you the same flavor of what you'd be experiencing through this Purdue session once the cohort starts. So you'll log in. You've got your own ID, gives you a customized view of the material that you're going to be covering. You're going to have a series of cards. These cards, these tiles, are the courses you're taking, and you'll see each one is going to have a short description and what type of learning it is. It could be self-learning. It could be a lab that you're going to be using. So you quickly see that. Some of these are also going to have live classes. So some are going to be classes you pursue independently, self-learning mode. Others are going to be ones you have an opportunity to join a live class, listen to an instructor cover the material. Each one sort of starts in a progression. So you're going to start with sort of the foundation. So, initially we're going to look at something similar to a boot camp. And when you click on these, you can see that all of the same layout and structure. This particular instance, this is sort of the introduction section, the induction. This is when you get introduced to your peers. You all get a chance to kind of participate, and we track your progress through certificates. Each one of these certificates is unlocked once you've completely finished the session. And when we come back to maybe more in-depth courses like this one, the Introduction to Data Analytics, you'll notice we've got a series of videos. And here we see Gary. He's doing an overview of data analytics. He's an expert in this space, so you get to listen to him explain these topics broken down by different lessons in the course. And you can navigate back and forth. You can see there's progress indicators that show how much of the course you've completed, how long each one of these are expected to take, so you can get a sense of your time management required to complete the lesson. Now, what Simplilearn does try and do is it tries to break all the lessons down to bite-sized chunks that you can fit into your learning lifestyle, as well as ensuring that you retain as much information as possible. And this is something they've learned and developed over the many years that they've been offering these kind of courses to learners. Notice too, we've got things like assessments. Hey, and you've got a test. You can self-test yourself. This is a great way to really understand how much you've retained in the material. So take your test. The tests are all automatically timed. You can pause them, come back to them if you need to, but they really kind of help you prepare for what you'll be learning. And of course, there's reference materials for all these you can download. If you want to take something with you to reflect later, you can click on that download that you just completed and use that as a way to kind of complement the learning that you have. So this gives you a little kind of flavor of what your course experience looks like and how you progress through it. So the way it's structured is you just sort of follow your core course load in the sequence that is provided for you. And then we can also explore topics like our electives, and depending on what elective options are available, you get to choose which ones you pursue. And then at the end of all this, you can see the certification that you receive. And of course, in this case, I still have to complete courses so I can unlock this. But once you've done that, you unlock the certificate and you've completed the course. Let me pause there. Stuart, what else do you think we want to spend a little time looking at?
So if I have completed a live class over the weekend and I didn't quite get some of the material, what are my options for reviewing what happened in the class, and what are my options for contacting the instructor to ask questions? What are the ways I deal with that?
Yeah, great question. So yeah, let's kind of play that out. You attended a weekend session. There's a lot to kind of process. Maybe you want to go back and revisit something. The first thing is you'll get a recording of the session itself. So you can go back and rewind, find the areas that you want to spend a little more time on. Also, alternatively, you can go and leverage the self-learning. Okay, all the material that's being delivered in the live sessions are going to have self-learning modules associated with them. So you can go back and just look at those topics that maybe you want to spend a bit more time with. And then you ask a really good question. Maybe you want to reach out to your instructor, maybe to the community itself. So there is a very rich, vibrant community, a collection of forums that you can use to both ask questions to your cohort, direct questions specifically to your instructor, even get help from the Simplilearn support staff, and which are available 7x24. So this is a really good place to ask questions and connect with your peers in your cohort. So lots of options available to you if you want to dig a bit deeper in any of the course material.
Okay. We did have a question in the chat about what the live class experience is like. So showed that there's recorded materials and ebooks and things like that.
Mhm.
Um, but in the class, what is the instructor going through with the students, and um, how does a class flow?
Yeah, so it's actually going to feel a little similar to what we're doing right now. You'll have someone like myself as the instructor. I'll be walking through this content that's been developed for that particular course. What you'll probably get from this is going to be a little bit different than looking at the scripted content. Is You're going to hear a lot of my personal experiences. I tend to kind of share examples that I have experienced in my career. It also gives you a little bit more opportunity for conversation, discussion. As an instructor, I'm always interested in hearing how the class is interpreting information and seeing what questions they have. So that live experience, just sort of like it suggests, is it's a little more engaging, a lot more interactive. Um, and if that fits with your schedule, wonderful. I'd really encourage you as much as you can to try and attend the live sessions. But hey, the real world sometimes interferes. You might have other commitments. Maybe something prevents you to attend the session. So you'll always have the other material that you can leverage as well.
Great. And the notion being that you're not simply looking at self-paced materials, but you're using the self-paced materials to help you prepare to be more engaged and productive in the classes. And then during the classes, the instructor is giving that depth, that context for the class materials and taking you through so that you can understand by doing.
Right.
So that's really the important aspect.
Exactly.
Um,
Exactly.
there's also the 24/7 help feature, which is that little question mark, right?
Yeah, exactly. So yeah, if at any point maybe you've got a technical issue that's emerged, maybe it's something not working the way it's expected, or you just need a little help getting some guidance on where to go to get something you download, or maybe one of the labs you're working with. So that's always available to you. Great resource. One of the strengths of Simplilearn is they've they've grown up thinking about customers first. They've been really customer centric in everything they do. So you'll get typically a very quick response, and usually your problems are resolved very, very quickly.
Okay. Thank you so much. So I'm going to go ahead and take back the presentation.
Sure.
Oops, sorry. Do that from there, do it from here. So I'd like to mention that the program is developed, managed by Purdue University. Dr. Zhu is the uh, program manager on the Purdue side, and he oversees the curriculum, our delivery of the curriculum, making sure that we're meeting the standards that Purdue has set for its programs. You can see that Jeff and Brian are both industry experts who have particular deep knowledge and expertise in business analytics and project management, and they help develop the course materials and the flow of the curriculum as advisors to Dr. Zhu. So we're very fortunate, of course, to have Brian here today with us. Thank you for being here.
Absolutely.
So let's talk a little bit about some of the learner outcomes. First, who will you be in class with? The people who join this cohort, again, are people who have some business experience, some work experience. That means that they're coming in from different companies. Um, so you'll be alongside people Some of our past cohorts, as you can see, have been from companies like Accenture in consulting, Accenture and Deloitte, or Nestle in consumer packaged goods, Shell in energy, Mercedes-Benz in automotive and manufacturing, um, Barclays, JP Morgan in financial services. So it ranges, as you can see in the ring chart there, a lot of people from information technology, certainly, but also from manufacturing, banking, financial services, consulting sector, pharma and healthcare, and pretty much every other industry sector you can think of. Um, so in your cohort, which will consist of maybe 25 or 30 people, uh, you'll have exposure to people working for a number of different organizations. That's a great networking aspect of the program in itself, isn't it?
Absolutely. Yeah. I mean, look at those organizational names, all of them, again, very well recognized global leaders. So, yeah, I mean, one thing, I think both of us can relate to, Stuart, it's not so much what you know, it's who you know. So, having that network is going to be really valuable. And it's something you can take with you and leverage for years to come after this program's finished.
Yeah, and there's also the value of working in the program, learning alongside people who have different responsibilities in the organization. So it's not just the variety of organizations, but also the variety of functional areas that you'll be exposed to, and that helps you to gain, a bit more color and flavor to your own background. Um, Here are a few of the testimonials, and I'll be sharing the link to our course page shortly, but you'll see some of these and more. Um, and of course, we'd always love to add you to this list if you join and complete the program. But Gordana was able to reformulate her career and get a new job based on the learning from this course. Roshni, uh, very effusive in her praise of the tools and the methodology, the instructors. Love that. Ronnie also was able to um, succeed. Has special thanks for a couple of the instructors that he worked with in his course. So I know that people have asked about who's teaching the course, and the people teaching the course are people like Brian who come from industry backgrounds who have done this work. It's not just people who are academic professors who tell you about theory, but these are people who have worked in the field and can tell you what works and what doesn't. Um, Again, you'll be able to see these learner reviews on our website when I share that link. And as I mentioned before, we offer job assist services, USA through Talent Inc., in India through IIM Jobs. I know that we have people from all around the world, and I say that unfortunately right now it's just in the USA and in India that we offer these services. But again, these extend for 6 months after you complete your certificate, access to the respective job portals from Talent Inc. North America and IIM Jobs in India. Also, the resume review and rewrite services, which give you a writer who works with you on tuning up your resume so that it can pass through automated tracking systems, AI-based uh, evaluation bots that give you the maximum chance of having your skills and experience matched against the job descriptions that employers post. But it also the writer also keeps in mind that it's not just for the benefit of the machine. It's also it has to be attractive to the human being who's going to see that resume after it gets through that automated filter. So the art form there that they help you with is making sure your resume does both, accessible to the machine, but also attractive to the human. Um, Similarly, in the one-on-one interview service, you have so many different kinds of interviews that you have to pass in order to get a new job or in order to get promotion, ranging from phone screens to the technical interviews that you have with your potential new peers and supervisor, to the management fit and cultural fit interviews about your work ethic and your uh, ability to be a team player and that type of thing. So each of those types of interviews requires you to put a different face of yourself forward, and able to practice each type with a human being, really a valuable part of the service. Again, for 6 months after you earn your certificate, you can draw on these as much as or as little as you please, but these will help you with your job search. They are not a job placement program, but a job assist program. So based on everything that we've shared with you, Brian and I today, um, so far, are you interested in joining this program? I'll leave this open for about 15 seconds total. I'll close this in about 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and results. So almost 90% of you would like to enroll based on what you've heard so far. And that makes this the right time to share with you the enrollment steps. Hold on just a moment as that happen. The steps are very straightforward. You email us at askus@simplilearn.net. Our learning consultant will then contact you. They'll verify your educational background, make sure that they can verify that you have a bachelor's degree. They'll also look at your work experience, ask you for documentation of that, and they'll ask you some questions about your interest in and aptitude for business analysis, to see if you're really committed to spending the 6 months to succeed in this program. Our objective is to have as many successful learners as possible, rather than having as many learners as possible in general. So, message somebody couldn't select the yes tick box on the poll. That's all right. We'll be okay. The the admission offer will come to you the next cohort, and somebody had previously asked, can you join any time of the year? Well, we do run different cohorts on a regular basis. The July cohort starts with the orientation induction session on the 5th July. Classes start on the 24th. We have an August cohort. We have other cohorts in future, so that there will be availability. But if you want to be in the July cohort, we suggest you contact us as quickly as possible, because as I mentioned before, we limit the number of people in a cohort so that you have time, Brian, to deal with their concerns and needs, right?
Right. Yeah.
So if there's only about 30 seats maximum in the next cohort, we recommend that you contact us right away to make sure you get one of those. And one of the reasons for that is that we will give you a bonus for doing that. We will discount off of these prices. So if you're in the US, it's $2,999, which can be financed over time at $264 a month. If you are in India, it's 1 lakh 8,000 rupee, can be financed EMI at 3675 a month at a very low interest rate. If you are in other countries, and I know that we are started off by asking where you were from, and saw that people are from at least 20 different countries today. So contact us at the email address or at the URL I'm about to share. You'll be able to see what your local pricing is. But if you do join the July 5th cohort, you will receive a discount, and want to find out what that is, that's from askus@simplilearn.net. They will share with you what the amount of that discount is. And with that additional information of the people who said they're interested, When would you like to start? Are you looking at that July cohort with the discount? Are you looking maybe August, September, or are you looking further down the road? To leave this open again for just another 5 seconds. 4, 3, 2, 1. And so more than a third of you are interested in starting immediately, which is fantastic. For those looking further down the road, please do contact us. Ask us at simplylearn.net. And as I mentioned, I'm going to put into the chat right now the URL for our program page as well. And somebody asked total fees. Yes, the fees that you see there are total and inclusive. The Indian fees especially are inclusive of taxes, and they include all the access you need. There's no charges for additional cloud computing services or the electives. All of that's included. So it's an all-inclusive pricing. Here is the email address and also the URL. And again, question about South African fees. If you go on our website, you'll be able to see that. We have a question in the chat about Python. And this course doesn't emphasize Python, but it will emphasize the other tools that you use in business analysis. So this is a good place for us to go into our questions and answers, I believe.
Okay.
Rather than have everybody watching this slide and staring at those two words, I'm going to go ahead and stop sharing slide presentations so that they can talk to us directly. Is there financial aid to help? Contact us at askus@simplylearn.net, and they'll be able to tell you about whether there are any financial aid or scholarship programs available. We'll go into the Q&A first, and then I'll scan through the chat. So if you've got a question and you want to transfer that to the Q&A now, this is a good time to do it because that makes sure that we'll see it. Can you use business analysis? Khalif asked a great question, which is, can you use business analysis in other subjects like water and environmental management?
Yeah, great question, Khalif. And a simple, short answer is absolutely. Water environmental management is, particularly these days where we've got a lot of complexity in our environment. We're trying to understand trends and directions. Stuart's out in California, and I think Stuart, last year you guys were in the worst drought ever, and now you've got more water than you know what to do with.
Yeah. Just a comment on that. We last year, as you said, we were at the end of a 4-year horrible drought, and then after this last winter, we now have problems with dams being stressed by too much water, and we're having to spill it out into rivers instead of save it for the next drought. So
this is
a little planning problem.
Little planning, but business analysis is a great way to help us answer those problems. We need good analysts to kind of help understand what's the best response. So yeah, water, environmental management, I think that's very topical. I think there's lots of interest in that, and business analysis is a great tool to apply to both those areas.
Yeah. And that leads into the next question. Raja, who asks, the work of a business analyst different from a data analyst? How would you make that distinction, Brian?
Yeah, great question. I would kind of view data analysis as being part of the business analysis domain. So we might have heard earlier, we talked about the fact, for some people, they get a lot from digging into the data and looking for those patterns and themes that are emerging from it. So there's definitely lots of room for data analysts to be successful in the business analysis domain. But in addition, maybe that's not necessarily your interest, your strength, but you're very good at communicating different options and connecting with stakeholders to understand what their needs and the requirements are. You are good at presenting information that has been gathered from that data analysis. So business analysis is often sort of the big family, data analysis a little bit more of a subspecialty in it, but they both fit together very, very nicely.
Yeah, and another perspective is to look at it as data analytics being the uh, general set of technical knowledge that, of dealing with statistics, with patterns, with
Mm,
drawing inferences up to and including machine learning and artificial intelligence.
mm,
Business analysis takes that data analytics tool set and applies it to business situations. So it's both of those perspectives are correct. You can look at business analysis as the overall field, data analysis as a subset of the aspect of that field. You can look at data analysis as a field of which business analysis is an applied specialty. But in either case, that's the distinction between um, looking at data for its own sake and generalized applications versus looking at data in the context of business. How is this course different from an MBA?
mm.
This course is not as extensive as an MBA. This course is one of the types of things that you would study as part of an MBA program. Analytics is certainly part of that. This we don't go into product strategy, into marketing, into other things like that in this course that you would be most likely to study in an MBA program. This would be um, the kind of course that would be one module of an MBA program. Uh, Somebody had asked in the chat whether this had any bearing on degree programs from Purdue, and no, this doesn't earn you academic credit for a degree program. So I just want to make that distinction. So you can't take this course and then say I've got a head start on my MBA. If you do enroll with Purdue for their MBA program from their business school, then you do have to take that set of courses separately. Um, Completed a business analysis course recently. Are there job opportunities abroad? And Ishita, I'm assuming that you're in India. Um, are so fresher in business analysis. What would you, as a practitioner in the field, uh, Brian? What would you tell Ishita?
Yeah, I think Ishif, you're preparing for IBBA. That's wonderful. Really encourage you to do that. Are there opportunities abroad? Well, you might remember from the early part of the presentation. What was it, 14 million jobs that are expected to be available in this domain, Stuart. So yes, there are job opportunities abroad, lots and lots of them. How do you get there? Well, I think part of what this program speaks to is something that you might be lacking today, which is that real world practical example that you have worked with an expert on developing, which is exactly what this program is going to help you create. And armed with that, it just gets much easier to get in the door to have those conversations with prospective employers.
Yeah. One of the advantages people have in today's world is that you can take a job abroad without leaving home. If your objective is to physically move to another country, one of the strategies is to find a job with a multinational corporation,
Mm.
work remotely for a period of time, and then apply for a job in their home country so that you can make that physical move. But as far as working for international organizations, great thing is that people can do that from around the world without leaving the comfort of their familiar home.
Oh, I
Um,
understand. Yeah.
Career Sunshine. I don't think I can start in July because of other commitments. Will I still be able to get a discount if I start in August? I would ask the folks at ask us at simplylearn.net about that circumstance and see if they have the flexibility to extend that for you. Will the trainer be able to give help about the elective courses in terms of uh, would you recommend studying R or Python or any of the other electives that might be part of the program?
Yeah, my general guidance would be if you've got the time and inclination, I would take all the electives you can. They're all going to be great ways to kind of enrich your skill set. Both R and Python. I think generally speaking, if your question is, which one may be a little more prevalent in the industry, well, there's no doubt Python is very, very widely used across many different domains, both in data analytics, but even for software development. So Python's a great skill to develop and learn. R is a little bit more oriented around statistical analysis. So that's a passion area for you. You're really interested in data and analyzing large data sets. You'd probably get a lot from taking that R course as well.
Yeah. And Rebecca says that part of her coursework in her master's program was business intelligence.
Hmm.
How does that link to business analytics?
Yeah, that's I think a really interesting question. And I think sometimes we have to be aware that, sometimes there's some marketing that goes into this, business intelligence, business analytics. I think they're really talking about the same domain. Business intelligence, I think it's going to also pair up well with what you were sharing earlier, Stuart, around the data analysis, kind of digging a bit deeper into sources of information, looking for those patterns, running some statistical analysis against them, and it all
Yeah.
fits within this family of business analysis.
Yeah. From the chat box, we have someone who's enrolled in a Simplilearn course wants to switch maybe to this one. I would suggest you contact us at askus@simplilearn.net. We usually have flexibility for doing things like that where people want to move, especially if you've changed that around. And if you haven't started your other program yet, they usually have flexibility. I can't guarantee that, though. I would ask that. Um, look through the chat here. Yeah, Shake had a question earlier, and I promised I would bring that up to you, Brian.
Mhm.
Shake had asked, as a fresher, may not have the um, additional 2 years of work experience. Are there options that they can pursue?
Hmm. Well, the good news is absolutely, Simplilearn has a very big catalog of learning opportunities available for folks that might be in your situation there. So I would encourage you to spend a little time. Again, I think Stuart's been mentioning ask us at simplilearn.net. That'd be maybe a place, just a direct question, but also just go to the Simplilearn site. Examples are, there's good introductory courses to business analysis if you're just interested in getting some of that initial foundation. CAPM, which is the project management associates certificate, might be a good starting point as well. It doesn't require as much of the same amount of experience. So definitely lots of good options available for you.
Okay. Um, Jean in the Q&A asks, can you start with this PGP and at the end switch? If you're planning, I don't think you want to switch between programs. If you start out with the program, Jean, you want to continue to the end of that. So if you want to take a look at different programs and pick the one that is most valuable to you, or maybe plan to do them in sequence because they each have their own set of requirements that you have to satisfy. And then I think the last question we'll take is from Odion, who says, we've shown the names of different multinational corporations on some of the slides. Are we affiliated with those? Answer to that is we are not affiliated in the way of getting a placement pipeline for our program graduates to them. A number of those companies use Simplilearn as a training resource for their internal employees. So we actually run programs of this type directly for the employees of those corporations where the corporation pays for it. sends its employees to us. But in terms of helping you get placed in those programs or in those companies rather, it's the placement job assist service. And then again, that is getting to you for 6 months after the end of the certification process, 6 months after you earn your certificate, you have resources that can position you to get a job, whether it's with one of those MNCs or another. But this is not a job placement service, so we're not facilitating the introduction per se to those organizations directly. And with that, I'm going to go ahead and take us to the end of our presentation with one last question for our audience. Last question for our audience is going to be, do you need us to reach out directly to you for enrollment? Be able to just go ahead and email us, or do you want us to be more proactive and contact you? So if you answer yes to this question, one of our learning consultants will contact you directly. Otherwise, you have the option of contacting us through the web page or the email address. We will be sending a follow-up email after this webinar with information about the discount, with information about enrollment, with a link to this webinar recording, and we'll also include, for those of you who have been here for more than 20 minutes of the session, a link to a proof of attendance certificate for today's webinar. It's not a skill certificate. It's not issued by Purdue. It's just shows that you were here at this webinar. And I'm ending the poll. And so about 60% of the audience would like us to reach out. If you've answered yes, we will go ahead and do that. You should expect that call within the next day or two, possibly on Monday, since we're at the end of a week. And with that, just want to go ahead and thank Brian for his generosity with his time and his knowledge today. Gone a little bit over time, and I appreciate your sticking with it, Brian.
You bet. No, great session. Really enjoyed it. Lots of great questions, and hopefully we'll see some of these folks in the next cohort coming up.
Wonderful. And I want to thank everyone who joined us here from different parts of the world, especially if you're in the Philippines and it's very early in the morning hours now. We're very grateful that you chose to spend the time with us. For folks all around the world, from Asia, from Europe, from the Middle East, from Africa, from South America and North America. Very grateful that you're here. If there was somebody from Australia, I didn't see it, but also grateful for you being here. And we hope that we can welcome you into the learning community with Purdue University and Simplilearn. You can use the QR code to get to the URL, but I've shared that a couple times in the chat. And you can email us at askus@simplilearn.net. So thank you all very much. And that concludes the webinar for today.
Take care.